Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell, and I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus Reports.
How you doing out there? I'm your co-host. I'm Ben Dickerson. Another great week of NFL football. A couple of stunning losses, some last-second wins, some really great ball was played, and the GOAT has reemerged.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has, and he's scaring the heck out of the league. We're gonna take a quick look at the slate of games from Week 7. Ben's going to do a special report on that. Then we're going to look at the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings, summarizing Week 7. We're going to take a look at where everybody stands, and I have some special information to provide. And then we're going to do the Bias Plus reports. There we go. Which look at the matchups for Week 8. And there are, Ben, I have at least 3. Actually, I have 4, but one includes my team. And you know I never do my team as an intriguing game of the week. But there are at least 3 that I'm really intrigued about. So let's get ready to kick this thing off. With your reports on Week 7's slate of games.
Okay, so let me just say, excuse me, I won 8 games. I lost 5. I believe you said that was about 61%.
Approximately.
I felt pretty good about that, but I would have felt better if these first 2 games I'm going to talk about had turned out in my favor. I would have had 10 wins then, and I would have been extremely excited about that. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So here goes. My first loss. The Giants were at the Eagles. I picked the Giants. That is my team. I really believed that they could win this game. And in fact, they almost did win this game. But unfortunately, they didn't. Now, Carson Wentz was not great. He missed a lot of easy throws, but he connected on some big ones. Got some big gains. He was 25 of 43, 359 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he did run 1 touchdown in. The question for me is, Baron, maybe you could help me with this real quick before we go on, is what's the deal with Wentz and his accuracy issues? Could it be A, sign of regression, B, him trying to do too much, or C, just because he has so many teammates in and out of the lineup with the injuries that they're having, that he just hasn't had time to get real familiar with all of them? What do you think about that? A, B, or C?
My challenge with the way you structured the question is you structured it as an either or. And in a holistic team game like football, very rarely is it one or the other. It's usually a combination. So for example, the dropped touchdown by Miles Sanders in the end zone would have made his stats look a lot better. And, you know, that wasn't necessarily, you could say that was on him. It wasn't maybe a pass that was put in the perfect place, but it was a pass where a D-Hop might have caught that, or a better receiver might have caught that, and you kind of expected your back to catch that. I see it as a challenge with pressure. So he's got his left tackle is basically just playing left tackle for the first time this year. So he's got a lot of, issues with the pass rush coming his way, not having the best protection. Yes, he's got a number of guys who we're just finding out about, not big names that he's throwing to in addition. And I think that adds a pressure to try to do more, to try to hang in there, roll out, and I can make a play out of this. And sometimes you wind up making a dumb play. You take a sack that you shouldn't have taken. You could have thrown the ball away. So I think it's a number of those issues. They have a team-wide issue that's going on, and we'll see if that changes, because they've got people coming back now who are coming off of injuries. The question is, who's going to be left? Because I hear they're talking about trading people like Ertz and Alshon Jeffries. So those people that were there that you could depend on that were out for injury may not be there after injury, if that makes sense.
Well, it does, because the trade deadline is coming up.
Yes, yes.
So that's going to have a lot to do with how this roster is going to look going forward. However, I didn't mean for it to be a this or that type of question, and in fact, you answered it the same way I would have. It's a little bit of all three. You know, the injuries on the offensive line that are causing him to be under a lot of pressure. I'm not going to count that one because I've seen him in clean pockets throw bad balls, plenty of them, and the season is not even is almost halfway through. So there is something going on, but
he does have some mechanical issues. That's been pointed out a few times. He's got some
there's mechanical issues, but he could play better, I think, if he wasn't pressing, which is hard to do or hard to say to a guy who believes he's the face of your franchise and everybody's depending on him, and he really wants to do it. That it's tough, you know? So yeah, it's a little bit of all of them. Whoever's left after the trade deadline is over, if they can stay healthy, the Eagles have a chance. Well, they already have a really great chance of winning the division, but they have a chance of actually doing something, maybe in a playoff game. Now, I know I'm probably giving them a lot of hope there, but I could see that happening. They're not terrible.
They actually, in a way, remind me of the Dak Prescott Cowboys, who, although they lost the game, mounted a furious comeback.
Yeah, well, we see quite a few of those, but nobody was as good at it as Dak there before he got hurt, man. That was some of those. I mean, I've seen garbage time stats, but it was never garbage time with Dak. He was always on the verge, like teams were going around going, oh, what's the score now? Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? So, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, Wentz was threatening against the Ravens. The Ravens looked like they had a laugher going on there for a minute. The next thing they knew, it was like an 8-point game.
Yeah, well, guess what? There were some letdowns this weekend also. So anyway, in reference to this game, so we can move on to the next one, my bottom line is the Giants actually lost the game. I know the Eagles got the W. They won, but the Giants lost this game. If Daniel Jones can connect with Evan Ingram on a really beautiful pass.
Talk about dropping passes, right?
I mean, it was almost like it was a little lack of effort there. I don't know. If I'm in the film room during the week, you know, with the other wide receivers and the wide receiver coach, I'm expecting to get an earful after I look at that, because if he catches that ball, they can drive down, eat clock, kick a field goal, and be done with it. And that game is over. So, you know, that was a tough L for me. The next tough L for me was the Lions in Atlanta against the Falcons. I took the Falcons. Julio's healthy. Calvin Ridley's playing great. Gurley's not stinking it up. Ryan's throwing the ball all over the place. I'm thinking the Lions defense ain't going to be able to hold up to that. Well, sir, Mr. Matt Stafford was 25 of 36 for 340 yards, threw for 1 touchdown. With the Lions up 16-14, here's where the Falcons lost the game, okay? They go on a 9-play, 76-yard drive. They get close enough to kick an easy field goal. There's still a good number of minutes left on the clock. All they have to do, this is something that should have been talked about as soon as they got in the red zone. All they have to do is run the ball and fall a couple of times, keep the clock going. I'm not sure if Detroit had any timeouts, but I don't think that they did. Kick the field goal and go home. Nah. Somebody forgot to give the memo to Ty Gurley the Giants, the Lions obviously were letting him score. Guys were hitting him, but they weren't hitting him hard. They weren't rapping. They were kind of standing up. He's chugging along, and then the last guy just kind of lets him go, and it looks like he goes, oh, that's right. I'm not supposed to. And then he scores. So that left Matt
by
Stafford
the slimmest of margins.
By the slimmest of margins. But it left enough time.
Barely. He really did seem like once he tried to stop his momentum, that he was really holding back, from scoring. But his momentum at this point, it was too late. Because I think he had about 2 or 3 good steps before he got to the goal line, which made it look even worse that he crossed it, because he could have, if he hadn't taken those steps, he'd have took a knee at the 2 or something like that.
He was about, when the last guy from the Lions hit him or barely wrapped his arms around him, he was about at the 4.5, I think. And then the guy just kind of let him go, but he's already leaning forward, probably thinking, I should go down here. And the guy lets him go, and he takes 2 more steps and then goes, and he couldn't go down. And then he goes down, he's in the score. But kudos to Matt Stafford. He took the little bit of time he had left, which I believe was under 2 minutes, marched him down the field, threw a beautiful pass to Kenny Golladay to get him in close. And then with no time left on the clock, with zeros on the clock, finds his tight end, TJ Hawkinson, in the end zone, touchdown. Of course, even with no time remaining, you get to kick your extra point. They kick the extra point. They win the game by 1, 23-22. So, again, a win that the Falcons had in hand, and they let get away.
He had a nice little in the pocket scramble where they were really kind of putting some pressure on him. He stepped to the left and stepped out. I thought he was going to run the ball. I really did. I thought he was going to go for it, but he pulled up a la Mahomes, and really dropped a nice pass to the tight end.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. People forget about Matt Stafford, but he's still around. He can still sling it. Wow, here's another loss for me. That's 3 in a row, but you're going to start hearing about some wins real soon. Trust me. Browns at Bengals, Battle of Ohio. Tight one, 37-34. This was a crazy game. Oh, the bias lost on this one too, by the way. This was a crazy game.
Did the bias lose on this one?
I have the bias going to the Browns. Maybe I wrote it down wrong.
Who won the game?
I'm sorry. This is a win. I don't know why I put a big L right next to it, but the bias took the win. I took the loss. I'm sorry. I've got numbers written on top of words on top of numbers. Let me go ahead. The Cleveland Browns defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 37-34. Now it's official. Okay, Baker Mayfield comes out after getting benched the week before, throws, or should I say, does not complete any of his first 5 passes, one of which was an interception. I'm thinking he's going to get benched again. They gave him another chance. He comes back out. His next 21 passes, he completes.
Straight 21?
21. He threw 21 passes without an incompletion.
Wow.
That crazy? He went total of 22 of 28, 297 yards, 5 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield, every time he gets clowned, seems to come back with a vengeance. They're a very competitive young man, I must say. He stinks it up sometimes, but the guy can throw, and he can move. That's 5 touchdowns. However, my man, Joe Burrow, who I've been speaking of every week about how impressed I am of him, seemingly did enough to come away with the victory here, but the Bengals defense had no answer for Baker Mayfield, so that was the end of that. Joe Burrow was pretty much great, especially he threw some beautiful long balls. He was 35 of 47, 406 yards. This is a rookie, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And he threw some pretty passes. And they were coming at him. You know, he was in the pocket. He was getting pressured. He scrambled, did what he had to do. Again, they should have won that game, but they left the defense at home. So didn't work out for them. Now we get in the win column. Panthers at Saints. I took the Saints. The bias took the Saints. They won the game 27-24. This is the battle of Drew Brees and his last year backup, Teddy Bridgewater, who has moved on to the Panthers and is now the starting quarterback there, which is all he wanted in the first place, and proved himself in New Orleans to be worthy of the job. So let's see. Teddy goes 29 of 36 for 287. Nice day. 2 touchdowns. Wait, this is former. Oh, my bad. I mixed that up. That was Breeze's numbers. 29 of 36, 287, and 2 touchdowns. Now, we got to remember, without Mike Thomas and now Emmanuel Sanders has COVID, so those are his top 2 receivers. He's been throwing the ball underneath a lot. We've talked about that. We don't know if it's a game plan issue or arm strength issue or maybe a little bit of both, but he was pretty masterful underneath yesterday, or rather on Sunday. And he also had a short run for a touchdown too. Alvin Kamara handled the rest. He rushed for 83 yards on 14 carries and caught 8 passes for an additional 65 yards. Teddy started out pretty hot. He was 11 to 13 for 170 and 2 scores in the first half. But then the Saints defense clamped down on him. He didn't throw any scores in the second half. He finished 23 of 28 for 254. So valiant effort by Teddy, but Drew and the gang were a little bit too much, even without Mike Thomas, who should be back this weekend. Another win for me and the bias, 18 to 10. The Bills went to the Jets and beat them. This was a weird day for Josh Allen. You know, I've been talking a lot about Josh Allen. I've been talking about the Bills, one of my favorite teams, a team that I expect a lot of. But Josh Allen is not, he's looking kind of crazy. I think I spoke on this last week, and even the week before, things weren't quite right.
We talked about it last week, even in terms of Tua, and saying that the division was a little more questionable
because of his play. I mean, yeah, the Bills don't look great, but I'm concerned about Josh Allen. I'm concerned about their defense too, because I thought it would be a lot better. But I'm very concerned about Josh Allen. Jets defense is pathetic. Josh Allen was 30 of 43 for 370 yards and was the Bills' leading rusher with 61 yards on 11 carries, but he never found the end zone the entire game. The Bills won the game with 6 field goals. Is that weird?
Yeah.
For supposedly a powerhouse against a pathetic defense?
Yep.
Yeah, I expected a lot more. I'm disappointed. I'm starting to worry about them now, but I'll be watching them carefully. Here's an easy win. Took the Washington football team along with the bias against the Cowboys. Washington beat them 25-3. Tough one for Andy Dalton. Let's get that out of the way first. He was running. He slid. He took a vicious, I was about to say borderline dirty hit, but it wasn't borderline. The guy nailed him. Okay. So he went out with a concussion. They came in with some guy from The Sopranos named DiNucci or something. He wasn't able to do anything. I'm just saying, Washington played smart. They know the Cowboys. They stacked the box. They slowed Zeke down. They make Dalton try to beat them. Dalton couldn't beat him. He could have stayed in the game. They would have still lost. So, I'm sorry about that. That never happens to me. Once Danucci came in, it was over. They put the clamps on Zeke. He couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything. They were done. On the other hand, I want to talk a little bit about Kyle Allen. He was with the Panthers. He is now with the Washington team. Dallas's defense is really, really bad, but Kyle Allen did really well. He went 15 to 25, 194. He threw 2 touchdowns. Antoine Gibson, the running back, had a really good day. Well, he was playing the Dallas defense, so of course he had a good day. Had 128 yards on 20 carries, and he scored a touchdown also.
Yeah, they had that one long ball that scored for him, man. I mean, nice long pass. I mean,
I think that was to McLaurin. Yeah, McLaurin, rather.
Yeah.
Yep. He's one of the few. McLaurin is one of the few fantasy guys that you'll have from a Washington team that's actually legitimate. Between him and Antonio Gibson, the running back, there's not much more to talk about on that team, not defensively or offensively. So, okay. So,
Chase.
Packers at Texans. I took the Texans. That was a loss. Bias had the Packers. Good job. Packers won the game 35-20. I didn't get anything out of Deshaun. I really did not what I was expecting, and that disappointed me. But kudos to Aaron Rodgers. With little resistance from the Texas defense, he went 23 of 34, 283, 4 touchdowns. He was never sacked. He was barely touched. He was barely breathed on. He found Devontae Adams downfield whenever he wanted to. And in fact, Devontae had one of the best fantasy days of anyone so far this season. 13 catches, 196 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Did you have him?
On a couple teams, yeah.
Wow.
See, when you ask me if I have somebody on fantasy, you got to remember I have like 37 fantasy teams.
So you got everybody somewhere.
I got somebody somewhere. Yeah.
And it's funny you said about you taking. I remember saying that last week you were really on a risk move. You were picking up all the risky, matchups, and you were going. Because I remember saying, "Boy, I don't remember you going against the bias as much as you did."
Right. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. But I did win some of them. So, it could have been worse. So here was my intriguing game of the week. Steelers at Titans. This one got a little weird too, because the Steelers looked like they had everything in hand. And then all of a sudden, Ryan Tannehill wakes up a little bit, but just a little bit. Derrick Henry wakes up a little bit, but just a little bit. And the Steelers still pull it out. Real quick, Big Ben didn't have a great day. 32 of 49, only 268. 2 touchdowns. He threw 3 interceptions. Really sloppy play by Ben Roethlisberger. Derrick Henry gained only 75 yards on 20 carries, but he did score a touchdown. I believe he scored that in the 4th quarter. Ryan Tannehill struggled to bring the team back. He was 18 of 30 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns. But of that 220 yards, one of the touchdowns was a 72-yard toss and catch by A.J. Brown. I think he ran like a crossing route, caught the ball over the middle.
Once he turned it up, he was out.
Yeah, he was out. He was out. A.J. Brown's a nice player. Very nice.
You know what I saw in that game? You know how Good Morning Football has angry runs?
Yes.
I saw Derrick Henry put an angry block on a blitzer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
pass protection is extremely important.
I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but this guy was blitzing. He literally lifted him like he did Josh Allen, took him off his feet, pancaked him. I'm
not surprised. I'm not surprised. I looked up some Derrick Henry off-season workout stuff on YouTube. He's an animal, man. His workouts are legendary. they're just, they're incredible. They're incredible.
It was also my bias plus intriguing game of the
Okay.
weekend. So we both chose the same game. Um, and I started it out here of all the potential intriguing games, only the Steelers at the Titans featured two undefeated teams. The only other undefeated team at the time was the Seahawks.
Right.
So Steelers is the only undefeated team now. Go
Yep.
ahead.
Speaking of being or having been undefeated, Seahawks at Arizona Cardinals. I took the Seahawks. How could I not? They were undefeated. I've been riding them all year. I'm loving Russell Wilson. I do have him in fantasy on my main fantasy team, so I'm doing really well there. But they lost to the Cardinals 37-34. This was like a heavyweight title fight between Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. I don't really know how else to describe it. But I wasn't disappointed at all. Russell went 33 of 50, 50 passes, 33 of 50, 388 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And he ran 84 yards on 6 carries. But he threw 3 interceptions. Kyler Murray, 34 of 48, almost 50 passes, 360 yards, 3 touchdown passes, ran for 67 yards and another touchdown, and he only threw 1 interception. So what do they say about the turnover battle?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Turnover battle.
They go back and forth, back and forth. Kyler gets the ball last, drives them down. They kick a field goal, take it to overtime, drive down, kick a field goal, win it in overtime.
Took an interception in overtime. One of those interceptions was in overtime.
Oh, geez, that's right. They had the ball first.
Yeah.
Extremely exciting game. I think that was my most fun game of the weekend. That was a really good game, man.
They did a tail of the tape, and they had both quarterbacks listed at 5'10". I thought Kyler was shorter.
Kyler is.
But they had them both listed at the same height.
Kyler's like 5'10", like I'm 5'10". You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like 5'9" and 7/8.
Okay.
And Russell is 5'10" and 3/4.
Oh, is that the difference?
Yeah, he's a true, he's almost 5'11".
Okay.
So and that's a difference. That's what's the inch? I don't know. But anyway, here was a win for me against the bias. Double check me, make sure I'm right. But I took your 49ers going into Foxborough and beating the Patriots 33-6. Am I correct? Did the Patriots have did the bias have the Patriots?
No, the Niners had the bias.
Ah, darn. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I must have wrote that wrong. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I beat the bias.
You were hoping, right?
Oh, well, so much for that.
Bias score 3.0 favored the Niners.
Okay. Well, Jimmy G continues to be the game manager that the Niners offense needs him to be. He's throwing short, he's throwing intermediate passes, and he's letting all of his explosive teammates do the work. And he's got a bunch of really explosive, athletic, quick guys. Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, who unfortunately got injured again. Kendrick Bourne is playing really well. Kittle, okay, not your average tight end for sure. So he's getting the ball to those guys. He's letting them do most of the work. He was 20 of 25, 278 yards. He didn't throw any touchdowns, but he did throw a troublesome 2 interceptions. Now, I think one of them was like right before halftime. He tried to gun one to the end zone. That didn't work out too well, but it was a last minute shot before the half. So I don't really count that one. Now, what was interesting, especially if you're a a 49ers fan and you're concerned about all these injuries that they're getting, they somehow have this bottomless pit full of freaking running backs. This is unbelievable. Raheem Mostert is hurt, high ankle sprain, missed the week. They decided to keep Jerick McKinnon out for what I'm calling load management, which you usually hear in the NBA. But basically, I didn't find out until the game was over that he was completely healthy and they just wanted to rest him. Okay, fine. So here comes Jeff Wilson Jr., 112 yards on 17 carries and 2 touchdowns. I'm sorry, 3 touchdowns out of nowhere.
I'm not even understanding it. And that's my team. I'm like, holy man. Because, again, as a Madden guy, you look at these guys and their ratings, and you're like, okay, he's a 60.
Right.
But then they come out in real life and
they
rip the place up.
Unfortunately, on his last touchdown, he pulled a hamstring or something. I think it's a hamstring. I hope it's not a knee. And they take him off. But in the meantime, the 4th string running back, Jermichael Hasty, comes in. He only gets to carry the ball 9 times, and he gains 57 yards and looks fantastic doing it. Oh, where you growing them in the ground? I know. The vineyards.
The vineyards.
You're growing them in the vineyards.
Again, I'm not even understanding it. I'm like, okay, how are we doing this? How are we running the ball down people's throats?
Dude, talk about next man up.
with no serious passing game.
Yeah. But it's working. The passing game is tailored to the type of players that you have. I'm not saying that he's like, oh, I don't want to throw deep, so I'm going to take this guy, and this guy. I think he looked at his team, which is a credit to the coach, and said, you know what? We need to tweak the game plan a little bit because these are the kind of players that we have. We want it out of the quarterback's hands quickly, but we still want to get downfield. So what do? We throw short passes and let the pass catchers do the work. And it's working. What are you going to do?
Kyle Shanahan set a record when he was in Atlanta for the most players who scored.
Touch the ball.
Who actually scored.
Okay.
Yeah, like 20
along with touches. Along with
20 different guys or something who actually got into the end zone, and it was like a whole record and everything. So
I remember them having several games where at the end of the game they're like, Matt Ryan threw 4 touchdowns to 4 different people, or these many guys had this many receptions. Everybody on the doggone team had at least 2 catches in a game. He did that a lot. So
and I have to assume that he recruits, drafts that way for that type of game, which is one reason why he probably didn't take DK, because he doesn't really see that wide out setup in the same manner. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm still a little.
I don't know. I think DK would fit there perfectly.
Well, I would have loved to have had him, but okay.
He's a little bigger
because I want to take a moment of silence every time we say his name.
I mean, you basically got the same guy. Well, you kind of got 2 guys that make DK if you put them together, Kendrick Bourne and Ayuk. If you put the 2 of them together, because I think Bourne's a little bigger, you could kind of make DK out of the 2 of them. As far as speed, hands.
Maybe stature and all the hands, but and the speed.
Stature.
That speed.
Well, okay. Ayuk ain't slow, bro.
He ain't that fast. Not as fast as
Ayuk is not slow. I'm just saying.
No 4.3 to 4.2 in the 40. But in any event, I ain't mad at him. He's a beast.
Well.
All right, stockier and stronger than I thought he was. Ayuk is, so he can really, he's almost like a power back running that ball. So I ain't mad at him, but different animal.
Well, Debo's your power back, your fly sweep guy. So, but he's hurt now, so maybe Ayuk will get some more of those type of plays. Chiefs go to Denver, snowy Denver, to play the Broncos. Snow was coming down pretty good. Didn't make any difference to the Chiefs. They pretty much outclassed the Broncos. Like I said, it was snowy, but I think it stopped before the game was over. It wasn't that bad. It was a quiet day for Patrick Mahomes. He only threw 23 passes. He completed 15 of them for 200 yards, and he only threw one touchdown. He did get sacked 3 times, and he took a seat late in the fourth quarter. I think it was like 7 or 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But the Chiefs were up 37-16 anyway, so it was probably a great time to get him the heck out of there.
They had a good day running. You have rushing stats on them?
No, I didn't take any rushing stats.
Good day running.
I don't think they had a lot though. I really don't. What turned up the score was they ran back a kick and a kickoff for touchdowns. So that was 2 of their scores right there.
Okay.
Hilaire had a decent day, but it wasn't tremendous.
So, I thought he had a pretty decent day, but we'll double check that. Okay, go ahead.
He had a decent day because remember now they let Le'Veon play a little bit, so that cut into his touches. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work out that tandem. Buccaneers at Las Vegas Raiders. The Bucs won the game. I won the game, and the bias won the game. The score was 45-20. The Tom Brady that we've seen so far this season seems to me to be a little, or seemed to me to be a little bit uncomfortable with what was expected of him as a Buccaneer and or how he was expected to accomplish it. Now, I don't know if that sounded right, but it just seemed like everybody wasn't on the same page, okay? This game was a throwback, and this game should answer any questions about anybody that's a doubter about Tom Brady. He scored on a patented quarterback sneak in the first quarter. He completed 33 of 45, 369 yards, 4 touchdowns. Game over. I got nothing else to say about that. That's the GOAT.
You found
Last
Gronk.
but not least, excuse me?
You found Gronk. If there was anything that came out of that game.
Yeah, okay. He found Gronk. Fournette found his legs. Ronald Jones
Fournette off a little bit.
Yeah, but he's still hit or miss. Ronald Jones is the running back of choice, I believe, right now because he's been the most consistent. Found Gronk. The defense is really picking up pace. Buccaneers defense is really picking up pace. They were touted as being a really top defense this year. They had a few games where they kind of got scored on a little bit, but now they're rounding into shape too. I think maybe they got a couple people back from injury. from injury. So Tampa Bay is looking really good right now. Got one more game. This one was a win. I picked the Rams along with the bias. Score was 24-10. Wasn't a whole lot going on in this game. I was worried that the Bears defense was going to get to Jared Goff and upset the Rams, but didn't work out that way. He was pretty efficient. He was 23 of 33, 219 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns, and they were only able to sack him once. Meanwhile, Nick Foles, who I reported last week, had gone 3 weeks in a row throwing 1 touchdown and 1 interception. And in this game, he threw no touchdowns. And that was the end of that. So Nick Foles fans, have at it. That's it.
Yeah, we question Nick Foles' ability to handle a full season. And I think you're starting to see those that trait raise its head. All right. Good work. Good work on the review for week 7. You took your lumps. Did you notice anything about the bias plus reports?
No. Why don't you tell me?
We're going to wait. We're gonna save that to a little
Oh, that was a tease.
show. Because we're going to move into the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings. That's starting to sound. I watch too much Good Morning Football because they have their primetime pigskin pick of the week thing.
Yeah, long drawn out.
I got a long drawn out name, so I have to figure out how I'm going to work with that. But let's get ready to take a look and see where everybody is falling as of week 7. So here we go, Benny, with the bottom 8. And you'll notice 2 teams that are completely taking up the 32nd place. That would be your New York Jets and your Dallas Cowboys. Jets in last place in both net points, that's your NP column there, and points for, that's your PF column there. Jets in last place in both. Dallas in last place in both points against, that's your PA, and turnover differential. So there you go. When we say that they're stinking up the league, they're stinking up the league. Where they didn't take last place in the net point, they took next to last at minus 9.6. So let's run down 25th through 31 real quick. When you have Philadelphia, Minnesota, Denver, and Houston at minus 4.7. A double 6.2 there for Minnesota and Denver. Houston being minus 7.3, and the Giants minus 7.4. Jacksonville minus 9.4. And I always remind people that at any point in time, half of the league is in minus net points. In terms of scoring, Carolina coming in at 25th place with 23.1. And again, these are averages. Jacksonville, Chicago, and Denver. New England at 29th place offensively. Man. Wow. You got to take a moment to let that sink in. There's your Tom Brady-less New England Patriots. And Cam, geez. The Washington football team at 19 points. And that number probably got pumped up a little with all the points they put on the Cowboys. So there's your points for bottom 8. Points against bottom 8. You're looking at the Jets, Atlanta, Houston, Jacksonville, Cleveland, Minnesota, Las Vegas. Didn't expect to see them that far down. And how many points they're giving up. 32.8 on average per game. And then Dallas. And your bottom 8. 25th place, Giants, Jacksonville, Houston. Again, turnover differential, the difference between the turnovers that you take and the turnovers that you give away. And this means that they are giving away more than what they're taking. Minnesota at minus 1.2, Denver minus 1.3. So there is your bottom 8. Anything you want to say on that?
Just that Dallas really, really stinks on defense right now. Actually, we might find out coming this weekend that they just totally 100% stink as a team. There's a lot of rustlings about guys on this team just pretty much giving up. And you hate to hear something like that, especially from professionals. But when you start talking about the coaches and this is wrong and that's what's wrong. And then I see people out there missing tackles and blowing coverages and having poor footwork on defense and not being able to open up holes for a future Hall of Fame running back. I mean, that says a lot about your team, and it doesn't say much that's good. I'll put it that way. So.
Yeah, almost a bit of a minor mutiny going on over there with the way they're talking about the coaches and things of that nature. And now will be the time as we approach the trade deadline when you'll start to see them talking about, okay, well, we don't need this guy because we're not winning anything. Anywho, so here you go. All right, 17 through 24. Net point wise, we're still in the negative. Carolina being 0.9, Detroit 1.5. That's 17th and 18th. You've got Cleveland and Atlanta at -3. Atlanta being an extra 0.3 there, and Vegas, Cincinnati, Washington, and New England rounding out 20 through 24 at 3.3 through 4.7. So those are your net points in the 17th. In terms of scoring, again, we're ranging from 25 to 23 on average points per game. Not many teams are winning at this level. Your Rams are. They're down there. They're winning. Buffalo, there's your question mark with the defense that you had about Buffalo coming in at 20th. In terms of points against, Tennessee, 25.5. And when you have the offense that they have, you can get away with that a little bit. You notice they are not in the bottom half in terms of net points. The Chargers, Green Bay, another team that we're going to talk about. Detroit Lions, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Seattle, 23rd, giving up 28.7 points per game. We pointed out their question marks a while back, and that hasn't changed. And this is, again, looking like the New Orleans Saints that we used to talk about a couple years back when they were scoring big and giving up big points. This is about where their defense would rank in a lot of cases. So they're down in 24th place. In terms of turnover differential, we got Chicago, the Saints, and the Rams at 0, breaking even, 17th through 19th place. 20th through 24th, all pretty much a fraction, 0.1 to 0.3. So not big time negatives, but negatives nonetheless. Moving on to 9 through 16, unless you have something you want to say about 17 through 24.
No, we're good. We're getting to the meat of the order now.
Getting to the meat. Okay, so this begins the top half. Everybody, well, not everybody's in the positive. Okay. Net points, my Niners, 6.4 plus. Green Bay, 6.3. Tennessee, 5.8. Seattle, 5.2. And New Orleans at a big net point of +1. The Chicago Bears, the Buffalo Bills, and the LA Chargers all at negatives, but they're in a fractional situation at 0.3 and 0.6 and 0.8. Okay, points for, now we're starting to push up toward the 30 points per game. Arizona coming in just under that at 29. Cleveland, Las Vegas, Miami, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Detroit, and my Niners, all within a few points to a fraction of a point differential, filling out 10th through 16th. In terms of defense, number 9, Kansas City, 20.4. Number 10, Arizona, 20.9. Washington, 23.6. New England, 23.8. They're in 12th place. So they got a little something to be proud of still, New England. The Panthers, 24. The Giants, 24.9. And again, we talked about your Giants having a bit of spirit. So they're coming in the top half of the league. And on defense, Buffalo just under the Giants. Man, just still amazes me. And then Denver rounding out 16th place. Green Bay, in terms of turnover differential, coming in at 9th, but they're pretty much tied straight down to Atlanta in 14th place, everybody with 0.3. They're in the positive. My Niners at 0.1 and Arizona at 0.1, all again in positive territory. 9th through 16th. Any comments on that, sir?
This is one of the more volatile areas, I would think, where teams will be jockeying for position because, as you can see, 14 through 16 are still in the minus, although they're barely in the minus. New Orleans is sitting at an even 1, and then everybody else is on the plus side. So I can see that any one of these teams, well, obviously San Francisco and Green Bay are in the top 10. They're in the bottom half of the top 10. But a team like Tennessee, a team like Seattle, a team like New Orleans and although I'm starting to question it, a team like Buffalo can all work their way into that top 10 within the next few weeks. When we do look at the top 8, then we'll be able to see if there's anybody there that looks like they might be losing their footing. But for the most part, that's where most of the movement's going to be. Those are really good teams right there. So other than that, let's go up and see what that top 8 looks like.
The top 8. Bam, there you go. All right.
Yeah, see that. Take a look. Just take a quick look. That'll answer a lot of questions for you.
Baltimore takes the top spot in the rankings with a 12.5 net points. Again, everybody here is in the positive. Right behind them, Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh in third place, 10.8. Just a tenth of a point behind Pittsburgh is Kansas City. And look who coming in number 5 in the top 5, the Cardinals.
After that big win.
Big win. Excuse me. Look who's in 6th place.
No, you don't have to excuse yourself. That should have been the first place your eyes went when after I said, let's see who's slipping in the top 8.
And right below them, in what we know is going to be the matchup, one of my intriguing games of the week, the LA Rams. So that already tells you something about the upcoming bias, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And then you got your Colts rounding out 8th place. All right. Top scoring team so far this season, Seattle Seahawks, tied with the Green Bay Packers. So, yeah, I mean, these guys are scoring. They're definitely scoring. Tampa Bay's coming in at third, 31.7. Tennessee just 0.4 points behind Tampa Bay, and Kansas City 0.2 behind Tennessee. So you got some teams there that are all crunched up in that 31, that plus 30 range. Pittsburgh being 6th place, New Orleans being 7th place, and Baltimore just dropping under 30 points at 29.8. We could round them up to 30, but we don't play that around here. All right. Points against. These are the small numbers. Look who's in first place in defense. That's how you get to first place in net points. You find yourself in a situation where your defense is number 1. That usually helps. The Rams are right there at 17.7. Look who's right behind the Rams, the Dolphins. We're going to talk about this again because people are just completely saying about the Dolphins, they shouldn't worry about the playoffs. They're not going to do nothing this year anyway. Indianapolis Colts, San Francisco Niners, and Pittsburgh Steelers take 4th through 6th, all at 19 point something, 2, 4, and 7. Chicago at 20 even, and Tampa Bay giving up 20.3 rounds out your top 8 defensively. And again, our favorite guy, Todd, turnover differential. Your Tennessee Titans take first place at 1.5 turnovers on average per game. Turnover differential. And again, that's different than turnovers. Turnover differential. So they're on the plus side. Kansas City right there with them. Baltimore at an even 1. And just under 1, Seattle is in 4th place. So rounding out 4th through 8th, Seattle, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Detroit, and then Indianapolis at all just under 1. Detroit and Indianapolis at a half of turnover differential in their favor. So what I wanted to do, and let me see if I can do this correctly here, is I wanted to talk about those teams that are tops on offense, but not tops in defense. They're in the top 10 offensively, but they're not in the top 10 defensively. And I think that that's going to be problematic as we get a little further in the season. We're going to see if these guys in the second half of the season can get their defense together. Seattle, offense, number 1, defense, number 23. That's a big drop.
That's a big drop. That's
That's
problematic.
That's problematic. Green Bay Packers, number 2, defense, 19th. Tennessee Titans, number 4, defense, 17th. New Orleans Saints, number 7, defense is 24th. And the Cleveland Browns, who got into 10th offensively, but they're all the way down in the 29th in terms of offense. I mean defense. So these are the teams that have a big space, a disparate number between their offenses and their defense. They are not in balance. And in life, you must have balance, or you would have. You weren't with me when we went and saw the movie Koyaanisqatsi.
No.
Koyaanisqatsi is a Hopi Indian word that means life out of balance.
Okay.
These are the teams that are living life out of balance. Now, on the other side are top 10 defensive squads that are not top 10 on offense. So we're with the Rams, number 2 on defense, number 18 on offense. The Dolphins, number 4 on defense. Not bad. 12 on offense. That ain't too bad. Same with the Colts.
That's not bad at all.
That's not bad at all. And somehow, I have the Colts in here, and that's not correct. There's no way in the world. They're both number. Let me just see something. Let me fix that here. So your Colts defensively are okay. Where are they at? Indianapolis. Okay, so somehow I got them in there, and let's skip them right now. My Niners, 49th, are 5th on defense and 16th on offense.
Not that bad.
Somehow winning, not too bad. The Bears, 7th on defense, and if they only had a quarterback, offensively they are 27th. So
that's bad.
That's bad. Yeah, that they're going to have to get together, and I don't think that they're going to, unless Mitch Trubisky comes back and plays the good side. We could almost Patrick. We can talk about Fitz magic and Fitz tragic. We talk about Trubisky as Trubiskying it up, but sometimes he has good games, and if he can have a Fitz magic side to him, maybe we can come up with a good turn. Ain't gonna happen, eh?
I don't think so.
Don't see that happening. Okay.
Or he'll come out. This is if they bench Foles and bring him back, because I still don't believe they're gonna do that. Have they announced that?
No, and I kind of agree with you. I think they're gonna ride Foles to the rails.
I think they're gonna ride him till the wheels fall off, and then they'll figure out what they're gonna do later.
Yeah.
But yeah, if somehow they were to bring Trubisky back, he would probably play well in his first game back, and then start stinking it up again. So, or Trubiskying it up again, because that's just what he does.
Yeah, sad to say. All right. Well, that wraps up the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings portion of the show. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to the Bias Plus reports. Let me make sure I have this set up here, because this is the matchups. This is where we do all the matchups, man. And let me tell you something. When I looked at the matchups for the upcoming week, I was like, oh, man, there are a few buttes this weekend. So let's get that rocking here, and we will move right into it. Bam and bam. All right. Starting out, Falcons at Panthers. Bias Plus score 2.4 favors the Panthers. This is a division game.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Always good. I love division games because there's just something weird about them. You can't count any team out in this situation. And, if the Falcons weren't so bad on defense, they would probably be favored. But let's face it, the Falcons on defense are 26. So you've got your 13th ranked Falcons on offense, and they're playing the Panthers, who are ranked 13th on defense. So the Falcons are scoring 26.3. Panthers only giving up 24 points per game. Obviously, the Falcons are racking it up or pretty good on offense. And the Panthers, that's where they leave a little something to be desired, coming in 25th. Who do you have?
The Panthers are 25th in offense, right?
Yes.
And defensively, they're 13th.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Falcons are 26 defensively.
Right. So the substance of the Falcons team is on the offensive side, and the substance of the Panthers team is on the defensive side. Plus, they have Teddy Bridgewater. Hence, I'm taking the Panthers.
You like Teddy over Matt in this situation?
Absolutely.
All right. Then he's going with the bias and the Panthers. Next up, Colts at Lions. Bias plus score 8.5 favors the Colts. Who you got?
Wow. Okay. I like the Colts. I've been liking the Colts. They started off like their defense was going to be like pretty dominant, but they've kind of fallen off since then. However, they're coming off a bye. I think they got themselves together. No miracles by Matt Stafford this week. I'm taking the Colts.
Going with the bias and the Colts. Fantastic. Next up, Vikings at Packers. Bias plus score 14 favors the Packers. That is the second largest bias of the weekend. Who do you have?
Okay. One good thing that's going to happen for the Vikings this week is that they're going to get Dalvin Cook back. Packers' run defense is nothing really to brag about. So this game could actually be a little bit closer than it would have been if it was last week. But Aaron Rodgers is on fire. Nobody can cover Devontae Adams. He can't be covered. I'm sorry, just can't be done. I know we say can't guard Mike. You can't guard Devontae either. So I'm going to go with the Packers. I think they just flat out outscore them. Even if the Vikings come out and they're able to control the ball on the ground, and Kirk Gibson has a good day.
Kirk Gibson?
What's his name? Cousins. Kirk Gibson. You know why? Because the Dodgers won the World Series.
Oh,
listen, the Dodgers won the World Series. So I'm watching the highlights after I watched the game, and I watched the highlights, and then they said that the last time the Dodgers won a World Series, Kirk Gibson was the hero. He hit the famous home run and ran around the bases with the bad knee, and he did the fist pump thing. I know you've seen that a million times. So I had Kirk Gibson on my brain. Kirk Cousins, even if he has a good game, will be outscored by Aaron Rodgers, and that'll be the end of that. It's just that simple.
Well, here's a chance, again, a division game here for your Bills to get themselves right. And here's a chance for the Patriots to try to keep that record, because I don't think they've lost to the Bills since the Stone Age. Bias plus score 4.3, however, favors the Bills in this situation. Is Cam going to be able to get his act together?
I don't know if Cam is going to be able to get his act together, but I don't think it matters that much. Actually, I don't think he's going to be able to get his act together. In fact, there's a question as to whether he will start the game or not. I've heard some rumblings about Jarrett Stidham starting the game. If Stidham starts the game, the Bills win easy. If Cam starts the game, the Bills still win. It just won't be as easy. So I'm going with the Bills. They're home. Not that home field means much anymore. They've had some pretty bad games these last couple games. Like I said, defensively, they should be far stronger than what they're showing. I know they're very low in the rankings as far as points against is concerned, far lower than I expected them to be. and they're not getting the kind of turnover production that I was expecting from them either. So I don't, maybe I was hoping too much for them. Maybe I overhyped them or something, but I've been pretty disappointed. But this could be a get right game for them. And I'm hoping that it is. I'm going to take the Bills.
You jumped on the Bill bandwagon with both feet hard early on in the season.
In the off season, I like the Bills. I saw it coming, and then now I don't know what's going on. The ride's getting wobbly. It's crazy.
2020, man. It's crazy. Yeah. Titans at Bengals. Bias plus score of 12 favors the Titans. Okay, so when I looked at this game, you've got 11th ranked in net points versus the 22nd ranked, fourth ranked offense versus the 21st ranked defense, 17th ranked defense versus the 24th ranked offense. Should be a Titans win. I can't see them messing it up. What are you saying?
I don't think they'll mess this up. I've seen the Bengals defense go into hibernation a couple of times. I think they'll do that again. Going to be some business decisions being made when Derrick Henry gets the ball. I think the Titans grind it out and win a tough one. And the only reason it's going to be tough is because Joe Burrow is the truth. And Joe Burrow can sling it. And Joe Burrow can keep them in the game. But it's going to be just like, I don't know if it's going to be just like the game against Cleveland, but it'll probably be the same outcome. He'll play great. He'll keep them in it. The final score will be relatively high, but they will lose because they can't. There's no way that defense stops Derrick Henry, let alone Tannehill. So Titans all the way on that one.
Yeah, there's just a maturity differential between those two teams. You know, I mean, the Titans are a team bordering on going to the Super Bowl, and the Bengals are a team that coming out of the basement trying to figure out, you know, why this light is so blinding here. But, you know, they you
know what, though? They got to be happy because, you know, anytime you're so bad that you got the number one pick in the draft and you know you need a quarterback and you know that if you pick the right guy, this can turn your franchise around. And if you pick the wrong guy, you could be in the basement for years to come. And they got it right. So now they can go into the offseason saying, let's address this defense and we could be a winning team. So it's about time the Bengals turned it around. I'm glad to see it.
Well, they had a good decision in picking Joe Burrow. So, you know, first step, get yourself a good quarterback. All right, next up. This is a contender for intriguing game of the week with me. Number one, bias plus score 1.5 is small. That's nothing. It's favoring the Browns, who just lost OBJ, which some people are saying that might actually help them. Because it takes that whole distraction of we have to get OBJ into the game out of the mix, and maybe they can actually run a balanced football, a balanced offense, and not worry about that. We shall see. The interesting thing that I saw when I looked at it is, number one, their offenses are right there next to each other, with the Raiders ranked 11th and the Browns ranked 10th. And then when you look at their defense, they're right there next to each other with the Raiders ranked 31st and the Browns ranked 29th. So in terms, they're kind of even in a lot of ways. The Browns are favored by 1.5. Who do you have?
Well, first of all, now that you've quoted those numbers to me, I can see why you're picking this as a possible intriguing game, or as your intriguing game. I am also intrigued. This is a tough one to call. I got to think about this. If I get a hot Baker Mayfield against a Raiders defense that ain't that solid, and he comes out firing, and Who's the new kid taking for OBJ? Rashard Higgins, who really actually has been around for a little while. He's just been kind of like fourth string, on and off practice squad type dude. He now has a nice sizable role. I don't know what kind of shape Landry's in, but they got a new tight end. In fact, I'm embarrassed because I can't think of his doggone name. His last name starts with an H. That guy balled last week. I think he had 2 touchdowns. So people are going to start snatching him up off the waiver wire in fantasy. But then you got the Raiders. Derek Carr is really playing well. Josh Jacobs is tough to stop. Aguilar having a career year. Ruggs running past everybody. This is woo, man. I don't know, that. I don't know who I'm taking in this game. I really don't. But you know what? I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to take the Raiders.
Okay.
When in doubt, go against the bias.
Feeling lucky? Are you feeling lucky? Okay. All right. I ain't mad at you. You know, gotta go with your gut sometimes. That's what they say. Gotta go with the gut, you know? I mean,
It's a tough one. This one is tough. I might have to watch while I'm watching Red Zone on TV. I'm gonna have to find this one on my phone and watch it.
Yeah, AFC battle right there, man. AFC. All right, who's up next? Jets at Chiefs. No, this is not one of the intriguing games of the week, even though it is the largest bias plus differential. 28.4 favoring the Chiefs. Question is, who's going to be left on the Jets when they go to play this game? Because they're shopping their top draft choice, Quentin Williams, already. You know,
Really?
yeah, they're already talking about letting him leave. So the Jets might be in that. Was not tanking for Trevor. What was it for Trevor? Something else they were doing.
Sever for Trevor.
Covering for Trevor. Yeah, they might already be starting that process. So, I mean, they're already talking about the quarterback not being there next year, naturally, if Trevor is an option.
Wait. Sam Darnold is only in his second year?
I think he's third year.
Third year?
But one year we lost to Mono pretty much.
But he was a first round pick.
Yes.
You can't quit on a first round pick that fast.
We're talking about Quentin Williams. They just drafted him this past draft.
Yeah, but he's not a quarterback though.
Oh, it's still an all. He's when you're defensive stars. Well, he should.
Trubisky still has a job.
Huh?
Trubisky still has a job.
Yeah, but that's the Bears. They don't know what to do on offense.
They're not going to. Oh, speaking of which, you want to trash Sam Darnold this early after you went out on a limb to pick him in the first round just a couple of years ago? Well, I heard Trevor Lawrence say, before I go to the Jets, I'll stay in college another year. How about that?
Yeah, that's part of the discussion. That's part of the discussion.
And I don't blame him a bit. By the way, take the Chiefs in this one, please.
Yeah.
Don't bother to watch it. Just take the Chiefs.
And I'll be quite honest. If I was Trevor, and if you didn't promise that you were going to fire Gase, I would definitely stay in college.
Oh, God, just another reason. You're piling on now.
All right, next up, Rams at Dolphins. Now, you know, this had to be a contender for intriguing game of the week. The bias plus score is 0.7. Benny, 0.7, favoring the Dolphins. And we talked about that in the midpoint rankings, where the Dolphins ranked higher than the Rams.
All right.
I tell you.
Call me crazy. My mind works in mysterious ways. So we got the LA Rams coming in, a pretty good team, a well-coached team, a possible contender in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, to play the Dolphins, who under normal circumstances you would look at this game and go, except the Dolphins have the bias, and they have the bias based on them cats been balling, okay? They've been playing really, really well, and they've been led by Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now we have the first game for Tua Tagovailoa, okay? Don't ask me why, but in my brain, Tua is Trump.
Trump?
Trump taking an unlikely bias and running with it when it was Fitzpatrick, who was Obama. It was his bias all along. Am I crazy? I tell you, I didn't make that. I didn't write that down. That just came into my head.
We'll get you some help later. But I kind of understand what you're saying. You know,
the Dolphins going to lose. The Dolphins are going to lose. Just because that came into my head, the Dolphins are going to lose because Tua's coming in. We got the bias. Yeah, like he knows about us, right? We got the bias. Guess what, pal? That's Fitzpatrick's bias.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Take the Rams.
I'm taking the Rams. Okay. I can't blame you on that. All right.
That was weird.
Next game up.
Crazy about that.
Is also on the list for intriguing games of the week.
Oh, boy.
Steelers at Ravens. Bias plus score 2.4 favors the Ravens. And you know it had to. Number one defense. You know, when I looked at this game, first of all, in terms of net points, Steelers are third, Ravens are first. In terms of offense, Steelers are sixth, Ravens are eighth. So they're right there with them. In terms of defense, Steelers are sixth, Ravens are first. So Ravens have the favor. So the question is, what is Lamar going to do? Is he going to show? You're going to have to throw the ball. The running game is going to work a little bit, but the Steelers have some decent speed on their defense. You don't want to run too much. You want to get that ball out of your hands quickly. Can he do it? That's the question. What do you got on this?
Who did the Steelers play last week?
What did they play?
I said, who did they play?
Who did the Steelers play last week? Well, I have some schedules up here. Let's go. This would be week 7, right?
Just talked about it, but that just goes to show that I'm getting old and my memory is not that good.
Yeah. Steelers played the Titans.
They played the Titans.
27-24, Steelers.
Oh, okay. The Titans, whose MO is the ground game, correct? And the Steelers won, right?
They were getting
Steelers played
Derrick Henry before he could get going.
I don't care if they got him in the parking lot.
TJ Watt's at least 3 times in the backfield.
I don't care if they got him in the parking lot. Okay. The Ravens' MO is the run game too. So guess what? Steelers win this game. Why? Because they're going to challenge Lamar to throw the ball. And although they're coming off a bye, and I'm sure they've worked on some things, I don't believe it's going to be enough to get them over the hump. The Steelers' defense is the real deal. Great against the run, sufficient, a little better than average against the pass. So I'm going to go with the Steelers on this one. Should be a knockdown, drag out. I don't think this will be a high-scoring game. I think this will be a low-scoring game, slugfest, but the Steelers should come out on top.
I chose that as my intriguing game of the week. So I watched that whole game last week and sort of flip back and forth to Red Zone every once in a while because I really wanted to watch that. And then I went to Game Pass during the week to watch some of those games in that 1 o'clock time frame that I didn't get a chance to really watch. That's why I saw that smashing block by Derrick Henry. So emotionally, I agree with you. Again, the numbers are the numbers. No conjecture, no opinion. That's what we say about the numbers. It is what it is. So I'm looking forward to this game. All right, next up, Saints at Bears. Bias plus score 1.3 favors the Saints. We've already talked about the Bears' dysfunction, but the Saints are coming in, what is it, net point of 1 or something like that? A defense that's, Saints defense is ranked 24th, whereas the Bears defense is ranked 7th. It's just that the Bears can score, and the Saints are 7th in scoring. So what can I tell you?
I'll say this. The Bears may be ranked 7th in points against, but they're not on steady legs right now. I see the Bears defense beginning to falter as the Saints defense actually gets a little bit better. Just a little bit, but a little bit better. We can talk about Drew Brees' arm. We can talk about their offense being, short passes, this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter to me as long as his accuracy is there and he has playmakers all over the field. And he's getting one of them back this week, I hope, in Michael Thomas. And Sanders has been down on the COVID thing for already a week going into his second week. I haven't heard anything about him being back to practice yet. So I don't know what his situation is going to be. But if they get either one of them or both of them back, it's only going to help. So I'm going to go with the Saints. I don't believe in the Bears at all. I think the Bears are going to start sinking in everybody's rankings.
Yeah, going with the bias on that. All righty. Well, as I said, this would be an intriguing game, except for the fact that it's my beloved 49ers in a division matchup against the Seahawks, and the bias plus score is only 0.5. But it favors my Niners, mainly because we're just a little more balanced. We might not be great, in either sides of the ball. The Seahawks are great on the offensive side, but their defense is just giving up points.
Yeah, they give way too many points.
Giving up way too many points. Now, I saw something come across. I think they just picked up somebody on their defensive line. It came across somewhere. I have to find it. Maybe I can pick it up a little bit later. But they are trying to shore up that line because they're practically sackless. They're not. Somebody reported that Kyler Murray didn't get hurried or touched in that game.
Yeah, see, that's not good. That's an element of your defense that you can't do without. Like, you need that. Even if your secondary isn't the greatest, if you've got a really good pass rush, you can make up for some of their deficiencies. Without a pass rush, even a really good secondary can be made to look bad. So that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all.
Yeah. And as these teams get healthier in the second half, it's going to be even that much more competitive. So this would be a really good game, expected to be a good game. It's not going to be my intriguing game because I don't do my own team, but I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this matchup. Well, all right.
Now, tell me this. This should be an interesting game, but tell me this. Where are the Niners at in points against? Because that'll tell me a lot.
Well, sir, the Niners are 5th in points against. Seahawks are 23rd. But the Seahawks are 1st on offense. Niners are 16th.
Oh, my goodness. Now I see why they have the bias, but guess what? I'm going with the Seahawks just because I like the Seahawks. I believe in Russ. I'm sticking with him.
All right. There you go. Cowboys at Eagles. Bias plus score 6.1 favors the Eagles. This is not so intriguing, even though, again, a division game. Weird things happen in division games. I have no clue who the Cowboys will have at quarterback. And the Eagles are, you know, well, I don't know who's going to be on the field with those guys. But for right now, they played a lot better. Cowboys are in last place on defense, and even the Eagles aren't that bad. So bias plus score favors the Eagles. Who do you got?
As challenged as the Eagles are on offense, they're better than the Cowboys. And I'm not even, compared to the Cowboys defense, the Eagles should be on their way to the doggone Super Bowl. So I'm taking the Eagles all day. Of course, this will be a game that they screw up and lose somehow, but I couldn't imagine how they could do it. So I'm going to take the Eagles.
That is the Sunday night game.
Oh, good.
So we'll get it. We'll be able to watch all the details.
At least people on the East Coast might be interested enough to watch the Sunday night game, because I don't think anybody else is going to want to watch that.
Yeah, worst, almost historically bad division this year, you know? So absolutely. All right. So that wraps up the Sunday games. That leaves one game left. And I know you have a particular interest in this game because your Giants are going to host the Buccaneers, and the largest bias plus of the weekend favoring the Buccaneers at 20.1. And no, I'm sorry. It's not the largest because the Chiefs were the largest, but that's okay. What are you guys going to do?
The Chiefs had the largest bias only because they're playing the Jets.
Yeah.
We've easily gotten that. I'm going to take the Buccaneers.
2 New York teams are giving up the largest biases.
That's awful, isn't it? And they play in the same stadium, and it goes on and on and on. It's horrible. Crazy thing is, the Giants' defense isn't terrible, but they can't score. And they surely are not going to be able to score against a defense as good as the Buccaneers. This is the Buccaneers game all day. I just hope to be somewhat competitive. Show me a bright spot. Show me Evan Ingram catching a tough pass or scoring a touchdown. Give me something to feed off of, because this won't be much of a game. And in fantasy, be careful with this game. This might look like a layup for Tom Brady, and in real life, it will be, but fantasy-wise, it might not be. You might want to play somebody else other than Tom Brady in this one. Just a hunch.
Okay. We
get what I'm saying? In other words, they will probably be able to control the game pretty much on the ground and getting a lot of 3 and outs. And I don't think Brady's going to have to throw for massive yardage to keep them in the game. He'll be able to throw, when he wants to throw. I don't expect them to come out and start winging it all over the place and trying to blow the Giants out. I think they're just going to win the game. And it could still be a blowout. He might throw for 250. He could throw for 250 and 4 touchdowns. He's done that. So, now, but it's more likely that he'll throw for 250, 260, and 2 touchdowns, and then Fournette will score on the ground, and Ronald Jones will score 2 touchdowns, and that'll be a blowout. His numbers won't be fantasy worthy. That's all I'm saying. But the score will be 40-0.
Okay.
Don't try to understand, bro. It's fantasy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that wraps up the bias plus portion of the game of the week. Somehow I'm doing something with my screen that I have no idea what I'm doing. Hold on one second. All right, so we always talk about the bias plus reports. You came in at what, 61%?
I believe so.
61%?
Pretty good day for me.
For week 7, the Bias Plus report.
Oh.
I'm looking at the game. I'm checking them off, right? Yes. We get to the Cardinals Seahawks game. They're going back and forth. I'm like ready to pull my hair out. I think Russell's going to screw up my. It's almost like when you have a shutout and you're just trying to keep them. You want to keep that big fat 0 in there, and they kick a field goal and screw it up for you.
Right.
I think this is the first. You think this is the first? 100% of the Bias Plus came back on the winning side. I couldn't believe it.
Congratulations. The Bias Plus report was 100% correct in week 7 of the 2020 NFL season. The Bias Plus report reported every game properly, picked the winner on every single one. This thing's legit.
I'm even amazed. And I always call this a football experiment because nobody else is doing this. So we're just tracking the numbers, and it is what it is.
Right.
No conjecture, no opinion. Straight numbers. All right. So that wraps up the Bias Plus portion of the show. We're going to go to, we're going to talk about, this is a commentary portion. We get to talk about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Well, let's start it off, Benny. I'm going to see if I can pull up our page. And because usually I like to start with that. Speaking of, all right, this is funny. And you might not think it's funny though.
Oh, well, I don't want to see it if I don't think it's going to be funny.
You don't want to see it if you don't think it's funny?
I mean, if you think I'm not going to think it's funny, you're going to show me anyway.
Absolutely. Let's see if I can get this to play here. Oh, now all of a sudden it wants to see.
Is it a meme about the Giants or something?
Yeah, your negative energy was enough to keep the video from playing correctly.
Oh, I know what it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be Daniel Jones's run.
Oh, you know it is.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Everybody's having fun with that. I laughed. I thought it was funny.
Did you really?
It was funny.
Everybody that I talked to that saw this thought it was hilarious. And it played well on our Instagram page. So, okay. You looked up there. For whatever reason, it just did not want to play.
That's okay. They scored that series, so.
They sure did. And I was actually glad that it happened because, it was such, uh-oh. I think we have it here, Benny. Let's see if I can. I mean, it's fun for the audience. You know what I mean? That's.
I seen it. It's on a loop on ESPN. Jeez.
Is it really?
Come on, man. It's on.
I haven't seen it. Not this particular. I mean, the run was there, but I did not see this particular video. So, for everybody.
Oh. Oh,
Okay.
no.
You hadn't saw that yet?
Enough. Yeah, I saw it.
God. I was like, oh no, that was just too good. I don't know who did that. And the music was just right. Y'all like, damn.
Horrible. You're right. That wasn't funny.
Yes, it was. You laughed. I saw you. We got you on film laughing. Oh man. I was like, oh no. Okay. What's up next? let's just, everybody else is talking about it, so we might as well, at least say a couple things about the rundown. DK Metcalf running down Buda Baker. It's called the effort play probably of the year. What can I say? You saw it, I saw it, the world saw it, everybody's impressed. We have it on our page, one of the plays of the year. I don't have the video here, I just have the picture of DK. What did you think about that run?
After watching the replay a couple of times, I realized that it was actually even more impressive than I originally thought.
Really?
Yeah, because when they lined up, Metcalf was on the far side of the field. He wasn't out wide. In fact, he was kind of tight, but he was on the left-hand side of the line of scrimmage as they were going into the end zone. So I thought that when the interception occurred, he peeped it from over there where he was, took the angle, very slight angle it would have been too, because like I said, he wasn't real wide, and just walked him down. But it was more impressive than that because on the play, his route brought him in that direction. So he was almost behind Buda Baker when Buda Baker took off. And he straight gave him a head start and walked him. There was no angle. There was no angle.
Yeah, you're right.
Walked him. And it's funny because, in flag football and, back when we used to play rough touch and probably in high school and all, the coach would tell you, if you're the quarterback and you throw an interception and the guy's running it back, you better tackle him. And Russ had that thought at first till Buda got in the stride. And Russ was like, what the? And then whoosh, he blows by Russ. And Russ is like, oh, my man got him.
I'm thinking to myself, Russ, you gave up at the 50-yard line. If he needed a little hand, you just took yourself out of the play. Yeah. Russ was like, I know my monster got this covered.
Right. Extremely impressive, man. Extremely impressive.
When you see somebody just running you down that's that big, and they probably got the jumbotron, so he probably looked up and saw him coming.
Yeah, and that had to be scary. My thing is, I wonder, did he really look? Because, well, I don't know. You can always second guess people, but if I'm running in a straight line, and somebody's behind me running in a straight line, and they're gaining on me, I'm going over here, and I'm going to go over here. Because if I do that, and I know I'm going to do that, and then I do that, and I know I'm going to do that, you have to react to what I did. That might buy me a second.
Yeah, he didn't do any zigzags at all, did he?
He didn't do any zigzags at all. He didn't veer any closer to the sideline because he had room. If he had just veered slightly so that when he got to the end zone, he would be right by the pylon, that might have been enough too. But because he ran straight, that allowed Metcalf to run straight. And in straight speed, no contest.
From what I understand, Buda Baker ran like a 4.4 in the combine.
That may be.
And so he's not used to getting run down like that. That's an unusual circumstance for him,
Yeah, he'll be hearing about that for a while.
He'll be hearing about that. That's going to go down. It's already in that list of historic rundowns, which include people like Deion Sanders and what's his name? The used to be with the Redskins.
Darryl Green.
Darryl Green, yeah.
Oh, classic
rundowns, yeah.
He had a few of them.
Yeah, exactly. And he ran down some of the fastest people, which I think might have included Eric Dickerson.
I believe one of those plays, yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Now, he had a little angle on that one, though. He took a little advantage of an angle on that one, but
it's still Eric Dickerson.
Yeah, but it's still Darryl Green. For a long time, was just bowed down to as the fastest man in the league.
No doubt.
No question.
And I think it was too, he was like 50 or some
Yeah,
ridiculous
yeah,
old age.
yeah. He
I'm
was
joking,
deep,
but you know what I mean.
yeah, he was deep into his career before anybody was able to really test him.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
stayed fast for a long time. He's probably still fast. He probably running 4.6 right now in his dress shoes.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you. So anyway, that was historic. We definitely wanted to include that in the show. All right. The other piece that I wanted to mention, and this is just kind of a mention, the Spring League has returned for the fall season. Had you seen any of? They actually had some of these games on television.
Are they I'm sorry, resurrecting the XFL name, or is it going to be called something else?
No, this seems to be an actual NFL developmental program.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, they've got some, and I think it's got some of the guys who opted out of college. It's got some guys who were in the NFL, and they have a short, I think something like a 6-game season or something like that. But all that information is here in the article on the
Very
Spring
interesting.
League. And I watched a little bit of the game. I was, trying to pull all the numbers together. Didn't have a chance to get too deep into it. And
Wait,
I
so
had
they're
just heard
playing
about
now?
it. Huh?
They're playing now?
They're playing now.
Okay, so where do I see this?
Go to Ben and Barry on football, and that article.
Dude, I want to watch a game.
I think when I saw it on Game Pass, so I can't really
Okay,
say what channel it was on.
I'll find it.
You
Are
know,
they calling it the Spring League?
that's as far as I know of. It's
All right,
called the Spring League, and
I'll
I'm
find
not
it.
sure what else it's called. But they are playing. They are actually playing right now, so I was surprised. Um, and then lastly, just on a Madden tip, they're playing Madden now. I saw Jerry Judy. I saw Henry Ruggs, Derwin James. He's got this thing called the World Against Derwin James. He's taking on every and anybody, and he's killing them. He's scoring like 50 points on people. So Derwin
Yeah, but
James.
is he playing any of them those guys that are always in the Madden championships every year? And
No,
those
he's playing
Madden.
other NFL players. This is an all NFL.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. I do think he's played some celebrities, but I don't think he's played any of those guys who are in the
Nah, he
those
don't want no parts
competitions.
of those guys.
Well, I don't know. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. But it was fun. It was fun watching. I like watching Madden on TV. It's one of the few game shows that I watch on television. All right, I don't have any commentary that would take us too far beyond what we've already talked about. The NFL is going, this week marks the end of the first half of the season at week 8. And, things normally kind of switch around after this game. People, this plus you've got the trade deadline coming up. Now, I know as a fantasy guy, you have to stay on top of this because now defenses will change and skilled players will move from place to place, and you're going to have to adjust your lineups. Am I not correct?
Well, if you have the player on your team, excuse me, you don't necessarily have to make any adjustment. Let's take, for instance, Le'Veon Bell. A lot of people drafted him. He was on somebody's team in every league in the universe, but he was sitting on their bench because he wasn't producing. As soon as word got out that he was going to the Chiefs, people started treasuring him. Some people used him to make trades. Some people coveted him, you know what I mean? Because now he's on a team that has a far better offense, and now his skills are going to be able to be shown. There's still a question because the Chiefs have to figure out how they're going to do it. You know what I mean? How they're going to keep Hilaire and him happy, and how Mahomes is going to deal with that. Right off the top of my head, I said to myself, it shouldn't be too tough because they don't have any outstanding number one wide receiver. And Le'Veon Bell has been known to line up in the slot and line up wide. So getting him and Hilaire on the field together is no big deal. You know what I mean? So there's lots of things Andy's going to be able to do. Him and Eric Bieniemy are going to have to figure that out. I can't wait to see it. But yeah, when a guy goes from a team where you like the player, but the team is bad, and then all of a sudden he's on a good team, now you're like, man, I'm glad I held on to that guy. You know, that's how that works.
Okay. Bigger impact.
Right.
AB going to Tampa Bay or Le'Veon going to Kansas City?
Bigger impact for the player, for the team.
Team.
For the team, I would say it's probably Le'Veon going to the Chiefs. Because like I said, I respect the Chiefs. I respect what Mahomes does with what he's got, but they don't have any outstanding receivers on their team. And Le'Veon's going to help them in that department. So he's an infusion into their offense that they can use in multiple ways. Now, AB going to the Bucs turns out might be a big deal right away because Chris Godwin just went down with a fractured finger. But a fractured finger is not going to keep him out that long. However, Mike Evans isn't having the greatest season either. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they wean him into this offense and how they decide they're going to use him. Yeah, it's going to be interesting because Evans basically plays on the outside. AB can play inside and outside. Scotty Miller plays inside, and Chris Godwin plays inside and outside, but mostly inside. So, you know what I mean? He's going to have to be fit in. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to fit him in, I think, unless somebody has injury like they have now.
Didn't take him long to fit him
play this week.
To the Patriots.
Yeah, he can't play this week though. Also,
yeah, right.
He's gonna go through COVID
protocol. All right, that's it for me. What do you got?
I got one more thing that we meant to talk about that we didn't talk about, and that is what's going on with the Miami Dolphins. So they come out of the bye and they declared before they even went into the bye that they were going to bench Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's been carrying them and who is having them play a great season. Not to mention their defense is playing really well, as noted in the standings, or rather in our bias reports. And they're going to go with Tua Tagovailoa. And I would say probably if they're going to bring him out, then they're going to ride him out for the rest of the season, regardless of what happens. They are expecting him to do well. They were expecting him to be the number one quarterback coming out of college, even over Joe Burrow. The injury changed all that. So in their minds, this is my way of thinking, how I believe the Dolphins brass is thinking. So in their minds, when he's 100% healthy, he's the best quarterback in that draft. And if he's the best quarterback in that draft and we took him with our first pick overall, we're going to play him. And I believe that was the plan from Jump Street. They didn't know the defense was going to be inspired. They didn't know that Fitzpatrick was going to, have everybody jumping up and down and believing in themselves and running up scores on people. They had no idea any of that was going to happen. The one thing they made up their minds about, though, was when they were 100 and 1,000% sure that Tua was 100% healthy, they took that along with the really good practices that I heard he was having and put him out there. So they're just following through with their plan. That's my opinion.
Well, you're probably correct on what they're doing. Relative to it being a purely football decision, I don't know if that's correct. I wouldn't have done it. I would have, I think you said you probably.
I wouldn't have done it either.
Yeah.
As much as I feel like I understand why they did, I wouldn't have done it either. I'd have rode Fitzpatrick till the wheels fell off.
And, you figure at some point with Fitzpatrick, the wheels are going to fall off, and then you'd be able to bring him in.
Yeah, historically, yeah.
Yeah, so it would have happened, didn't have to happen against the Rams. You've got a few much easier games in the lineup coming up, that he might have been able to, come in and get more time. He could have
They could have beat the Rams. They can still beat the Rams, believe it or not. Rams are not good against the run, and they got a nice rookie running back down there, Myles Gaskin. He's pretty good. If Tua doesn't get the jitters and throw the ball away, they could still win this game. And I'm pretty sure they would have won it with Fitzpatrick there. But,
well, hopefully Tua won't screw up my bias plus and get the jitters, but because they are favored in this game by a very, very small margin. Okay. Anything else?
I got nothing else. Go Noles.
Peace.